And welcome to ZekeTalk. This is Jim Tudor of ZekeFilm.org, and I am with...
He's with Michael Anderson, filmmaker and raconteur.
And I will add to that, my credit is I'm a film critic, filmmaker, sometimes, art director for film and video, and set decorator, sometimes when they call. And, you know, what else? We're both editors.
Yeah.
Did I say that already? And yeah, we edit video for money, and sometimes not that much money. So, you know, again,
for
give us a
fun
call.
And profit. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but really,
you need to have the number flashed up. You know, it's like contact us via ZekeFilm.
Oh, sure. Yes, that'll work.
Our rates are low.
And I, you know, just speaking purely for myself, I will paint your house and cut your grass. So those things as well. Yeah, because I've got a website to keep up, and that is ZekeFilm.org. Go to ZekeFilm.org, enjoy ZekeFilm.org, read all of our fantastic content that is always showing up, including, I should give special mention of this, we had to post something sad last weekend, which I'm sure fandom is well aware. We lost Adam West.
Yes, it was a sad time for Gotham City and for the world, really. You know, Adam West, in many ways, you know, he was the original Batman for many people, and yeah, you know, he got a bad rep. You know, sometime in the 80s when people were like, oh, you know, Batman needs to be serious, but no, I think we've seen time and time again, there's room for a silly Batman. You know, if the Lego movie has taught us anything, it's that, you know, we miss Batman when he's not silly.
Yeah, did you see the Lego Batman movie?
I haven't seen the new Lego Batman. I saw him, of course, in the original Batman, the original Lego movie, but yes.
I am perhaps in the minority here, but I enjoyed the Lego Batman movie more than the Lego movie. Which, ooh. Yeah, because it's just straight ahead, unapologetically, having a lot of fun and being funny. It's not trying to impress us with how smart the filmmakers and scriptwriters are being with their little you know, cultural commentaries and whatnot that you get in the Lego movie. No, Lego Batman is just pure Lego fun.
Yes, and that's one of the things that people like. You know, Bat fun, and Adam West gave us Bat fun in spades. I mean, Batman, the TV series, was a phenomenon when it first came out. Adam West, unfortunately, even though it was the part he was born to play, many people afterwards were like, maybe we don't hire him for a while. And it wasn't until, you know, the people who grew up with Batman got into power and they started being able to cast him. I'm not a huge fan of the Family Guy, but Mayor Adam West always made me smile, as well as his first career, you know, mini renaissance happened in the 90s, kicked off by a little thing called Look Well, which hopefully you will have heard of. It was a pilot for a TV series written by Robert Smigel and Conan O'Brien. Back before they were the kings of late night, they did this pilot with Adam West as Ty Lookwell, you know, a former 1970s detective actor who now fancies himself a real detective. And it is hilarious. You can find it on YouTube. I will say that actually when I was in college in 1992, I hosted an Adam West film festival as part of the film series at Northeast Missouri State University. It was an evening of Adam West. We played the first two episodes of the Batman TV series. We played his appearance in The Outer Limits, fighting the invisible enemy, the Sand Sharks. And we played Look Well, which no one else had seen, but which they got shown on NBC once. That was back in the days where they'd burn off old pilots in the summer and be like, oh yeah, look here, we have a special, which basically meant this is a show that we didn't pick up. And I caught like the first 5 seconds of it, and it was like, Adam West, this looks fantastic. So I popped the tape in, got myself a copy, and I enjoyed it for many years. And now you can get it online anytime you want. This is this little thing that only a select few had heard of. But yes, it is. I hear that it's legend in comedy circles. You know, for a while there, it was. You know, that was the thing that all these stand-up comedians would pass around tapes, and it's like, you gotta watch this. This is funny.
It is funny. It's great, and I remember finding out about Look Well from watching Late Night with David Letterman the week before Look Well happened to run. And again, this is the middle of the summer, back in what, 1991, I want to say?
Yeah, around 91, that's about right, yeah.
Yeah, so, you know, before Conan O'Brien and Robert Smigel were known quantities of any kind, outside of like writers' rooms, you know, this Adam West did a walk-in in the studio on Late Night with David Letterman. You know how there was always the side door over by the spiral staircase, yes, on David Letterman? Well, Adam West, for whatever reason, Letterman was out in the hallway, or somebody was out in the hallway, and they brought in Adam West. They you know, the story was he was just out there, and he was there in the building to promote Look Well on another show. But they dragged him in there, and he mentioned that this show was going to be on NBC. And, you know, no talk of it being a failed pilot or anything. I think there was still hopes for it at that point to go forward. But he came in, he was standing there, I think he was having a drink, and he had his glasses on, and he was kind of like, you know, yeah, Dave, I'm doing a series, you know. And he had a drink, and I think, and I'm sure it was water. Yeah. And that was that. So I turned it on. I watched it. I remember I was like outside doing stuff. I came in. Nobody else was in the house. And I just sat there and watched this by myself. It was like, this is the craziest, funniest, weirdest thing. And there wasn't humor like that. And I write about this, by the way, in my... there's 3 of us on the Remembrance on the website. There's Justin Morey, there's Eric Yates, and there's myself. And in mine, I bring up Look Well, and I tell the story of happening upon it, more or less. And I also bring up that Batman 2-part episode, the first one, What a Way to Go-Go.
Ah, yes.
With Jill St. John falling into the atomic reactor in the Batcave, tragically. Batman cannot save her on time, and he just looks in the camera and says, what a terrible way to go. Right?
That is correct. That is indeed what he says. Because
yes, that's what he says.
The nightclub earlier was the What a Way to Go.
What a Way to Go, that's right.
And the crew all thought that he had blew his line because they hadn't made the connection. They were like, "What? You're going to take that again, aren't you?" He said, "What a way to go! That's too many goes." Yeah. It's just like apparently the legend on set for Look Well is that they got Adam West on set, and Adam West was doing Look Well, you know, just instinctively the way he thought it would be, and Conan and Robert Smigel had to take Adam West aside, and they were like, you're not doing it exactly the way we had envisioned it. And so he'd go and he'd do it another way, and they were like, yeah. Basically, we wrote him as Batman. So do it as Batman. And Adam was just sort of like, okay. And he went and he did it as Batman. and that's how he got the brilliance of Look Well.
Well, that's and on the show he did play on Look Well. The character was an actor who had previously starred as a police officer in a canceled television series, and I just remember they gave him his badge presented in a block of stick as a commemorative thing when the show ended. So he gets it in his head that he can actually solve crimes, and he's walking around with this badge plastic block thing and slamming it down on countertops and at security desks and things like that. That's my remembrance. I haven't seen it since the one time in 1991, but it's never left my mind. And of course, one other person in town at the time, I think, saw it. So I thought, boy, nobody's ever going to believe this. But of course, over time, like you say, you've seen it, others have seen it, and it's out there in some form.
I believe the line was, William Conrad didn't take his honorary badge seriously, but I do.
That's right. Very much.
The other great running gag in it is that as an acting coach, he knows Shakespeare, but he only knows one quote because it was on the Lookwell episode. So whenever he goes for a quote, it's always the same Shakespeare quote, which is completely inappropriate in pretty much every situation he uses it in. As Shakespeare would say, how oft the means to do ill deeds makes ill deeds done.
It sounds smart.
It does, yes.
It's Shakespeare. That's right. Well, Adam West, the other thing that I brought up is the fact that he was, I think, undisputably a better actor than anybody gave him credit for in those years you're talking about, where he had a bad rap as an actor. People were making fun of him. He got, as people like Shatner and Adam West would get kind of lumped into this pool of actors of that time that might have been a little over the top, or they were marching to the beat of a different drummer. But I think Adam West certainly showed his chops for those willing to look in a little closer.
Yes. Yeah. The thing is, he made Batman memorable and really memorable. And, it takes a certain talent to do that. And he didn't just have Batman, he had other roles as well. But it's one of those, he's always going to be Batman to all of us.
Of course, and we will very much miss him.
Yes.
So let's shift gears and discuss this week's new film offering, which is the big Pixar release.
No, not the Mummy.
No.
Yes.
That was last week.
Oh, yes. Oh.
Mm-hmm.
No, Pixar. Cars 3.
Cars 3, and I believe, by the way, the Mummy is. I haven't looked at box office and that sort of thing, but according to the word is that Mummy is dead on arrival.
Well, I know it's 17% on the Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah.
So I hear it's not doing well.
And of course, we know that this is a bigger deal than just the failure of a summer blockbuster. This is the starting point for a new shared universe of Universal monsters, all being revived.
Oh, it's the second start of the shared universe. They tried doing a Dracula 1, it bombed. Now the Mummy has bombed, it looks like. It's like they just can't get it off the ground. In general, I think movie universes can be fun. But I think right now we're sort of suffering from a sort of sameness of movie universes, shall we say? Marvel started it with the Marvel universe, and DC is doing it, and now Universal is trying to do it with their monsters, which, in reality, they sort of pioneered the shared universe because, back in the 50s with Abbott and Costello, meet Dracula and Frankenstein and the Wolfman.
Yeah, no, it was earlier than that. I mean, they started putting the monsters together for, House of Frankenstein and Frankenstein meets the Wolfman and all these different movies. And other monsters that weren't in the title would show up, and eventually it gave way. And I think, I don't know, it's like when all of it ran its course, parody. Abbott and Costello meet Frankenstein.
Yes.
and the Mummy and the Invisible Man and the killer Boris Karloff and all of these different iterations of Abbott and Costello and monster movies. So, I don't know if we're headed that direction again, Mike.
I don't know, but I mean, growing up, it was always something special when like Laverne and Shirley showed up on Happy Days, or something like the gang, the gang at St. Elsewhere showed up at Cheers. It's just a little something extra for the eagle-eyed.
Yeah, or how about this one when Mork was on Happy Days from Robin Williams, Mork from Mork, did an episode of Happy Days where everybody was frozen in time and he had to come and I don't remember what the plot was. With Robin Williams running around in that crazy leotard, there probably wasn't a whole lot of plot.
No, well, the first, Mork started on Happy Days, and it was supposedly a dream sequence where Fonzie gets visited by Mork from Mork, and they thought it was going to be a stupid episode, but Robin Williams came in, and he just blew everyone away, and it was like, this is the funniest thing, we got to sign him up. And they did a spinoff, and so he came back to Happy Days, to promote his show, basically. But it's like, oh yeah, remember me?
It's Mork from Mork again.
Again.
Well, that's great. Yeah, he's like kind of the Snuffleupagus of the Happy Days universe. Then he can only be seen by the chosen few.
That's right, or the Great Gazoo, from the Flintstones.
Yeah, more apropos, perhaps.
Yes.
So, well, all right. So we're talking about shared universes and movie universes. Was Van Helsing, was that an attempt at one of these, or was that just, let's start the Van Helsing franchise?
Yeah, I think let's just start the Van Helsing franchise. I mean, there's something, slightly different from, it's like, oh, well, let's get all the monsters together. Right. And, it's like, well, and the difference between that and, the sort of let's try to create a cinematic universe where we've created, where every next movie, it's like the next chapter, but it's also it sort of stands on its own.
Yeah, so,
exactly. With the Marvel universe, every time it's a new superhero or it's another Iron Man, and they can mix it up and keep it sort of fresh. And DC is trying it as well, and yeah, it's something that definitely can be looked into. I think that there are possibilities there. It's just that Universal is trying to replicate what Marvel and DC are doing, rather than trying to build up something new and unique. It's like it's great that they have those monsters, and it's great that they're trying to bring them back. It's just that so far they just haven't been that good of a movie.
No, apparently not. And it might be a case that this is not something that the audience wants from the outset. We have to be sold on it.
Yeah,
as opposed to the superheroes, which we're primed for whatever reason, culturally. People just are going.
Yeah. Well, the thing with this is you sort of get the idea that this was, some movies are passion projects. Say what you will about John Carter from Mars, but he really wanted to do John Carter from Mars.
The people that made it.
Yeah, the people and the director that made it, the Pixar director whose name is
Andrew Stanton.
Yes. He really wanted to make that. Something like Sky Captain in the World of Tomorrow. That filmmaker really wanted to make that. And it was sort of a singular vision that no one else shared, unfortunately. But, and if we had, like an Andrew Stanton or, a filmmaker with a vision who was like, like a Peter Jackson, and be like, I want to bring back the Universal monsters, and I have this big vision. I can see it all laid out, and it's going to be fantastic. If I had the idea that the Universal monster movies were that, I'd be a lot more excited. Instead, it just sounds like the Universal suits were like, oh, what do we have in the vaults that we can exploit for profit? And it's like, oh, well, we got Dracula and the Mummy and Frankenstein. And it's like, why, that's money in the bank. Throw 300 million at the first one.
Well, I heard, back in the late 90s when they rebooted The Mummy with Brendan Fraser, which that one was very successful. And the first outing of that, at least rightfully so, it's a very fun movie.
Yeah.
But I heard that's how Universal was operating then. They were mining the vaults to see what do we have that we could bring back that's recognizable. We don't have to work to build up. And of course, they do have to work to build it up. It's just, particularly the confusion with starting with The Mummy this time. Right away, everybody was thinking about the Brendan Fraser movies and wondering if this is one of those or what's going on.
Yeah, that's the thing is, The Mummy has sort of been rebooted. See, there's something, like Dracula. It's like every 2 or 3 years, there's a new Dracula movie. Most of them really minor ones, but, you got Dracula 2000, you got, vampires, you got all these different Dracula movies because it's public domain and so anyone can do it. And it's something people have heard of. So a lot of people, are like, I'll make a Dracula movie. The Mummy isn't, I suppose The Mummy is in the public domain. Just being an Egyptian thing, but
I think he's made up. That's a Universal. That may be why. But if they would have started with the creature from the Black Lagoon, I think this would have maybe gone somewhere.
Maybe.
Yeah. Apparently I haven't seen it, but I've got film critic friends who have, and they say you've got Russell Crowe running around as Dr. Henry Jekyll. And he's kind of the Nick Fury of the thing, and he's getting the monsters together, and he's, Tom Cruise plays into this somehow.
Okay.
He's not the Mummy. The Mummy is in a bit of mind-blowing progressivism, Mike. The Mummy is a girl.
Ooh.
Yeah, see, that's the gender swapping the title character there. You see, we've had Mummy movies, but have we ever had a girl Mummy movie?
It's hard to tell from all the wrappings, but I'll assume no.
Yeah, well, she's upset because of the wrappings that they wrapped her up in are apparently very uncomfortable. So she's back from the dead, and she wants to kill Tom Cruise, and it's just not good.
No, it's not. See, when you talked about Russell Crowe getting all the monsters together, all of a sudden I had like a Bad News Bears idea that it's like, the monsters are down on their luck, and Russell Crowe isn't the alcoholic coach who has to whip them into shape and whip his own life into shape in the process.
Yeah,
that's the movie I'd see.
I think that might be what's happening. We don't know. Russell Crowe has a Mr. Hyde problem that he has to deal with. Maybe that's why he's getting all the monsters together. We don't know. But there apparently is a scene, apropos to, similar to Amazing Spider-Man 2. The Andrew Garfield's second Spider-Man movie, where there's a moment in there where they're planting the seeds for the future Spider-Man universe, which was scrapped and never happened. Where I think it was Norman Osborn, the Green Goblin, is walking through a room at Oscorp, and they're lit, upright, freezer chests, basically. These kind of lit rooms where superhero costumes, for whatever reason, are stored. These light up boxes with glass fronts, and the costumes are just in there, and it's the Vulture, and it's Dr. Octopus's arms, and it's all these different Spider-Man villain accoutrements, just waiting for those Sinister Six movies and whatnot to happen, and of course, none of it happened. And apparently we have that here, where Russell Crowe walks through a thing, and there's the claw of the creature, and the Wolfman's cane, and all those things are waiting for us in future installments.
Well, you know, the superhero movies have always done this. I mean, I remember the Tim Burton Batman getting us all excited about Billy D. Williams is going to be Two-Face.
And then,
And then, no, you got Tommy Lee Jones instead.
yep, yep. And so poor Billy D. Williams, I think they let him voice Two-Face.
That's possible, yeah.
Well, what's going on is they've got an Adam West is going to be Batman animated one more time.
Yes.
With Burt Ward, and that's a Two-Face thing.
It is, yes. Before he died.
It's William.
Before he died. Yeah, William Shatner is Two-Face.
Right. It's already recorded, of course. So that is happening.
Yes. Now that is confirmed. Yes.
But it's not. Can you hear me?
I can hear you now. Yes.
Okay. There was some sort of disruption.
Yes.
We'll just keep going and act as though nothing was ever wrong ever.
Disruption? I hardly even knew her.
Yeah, ha ha ha! And this is where I say I will edit that out, and then I don't.
Okay.
It's like so many podcasts. Mike, you're aware of Cars? Yes, Cars 3.
I am aware of this. It's Pixar's cash cow that critics really can't stand.
Yeah, and I don't understand why, because the first Cars was a fine little movie. It gets a bad rap, frankly. I think the first Cars it's not Pixar's greatest work, of course not, but it's fine. It's good.
Yeah. I mean, I will say, you know, I saw the first Cars in the theater, and I thought it was fine. Wasn't quite up to the Pixar movies to date, but you know, it was a nice little movie, and it had all the standard Pixar hallmarks of the time. The thought out story, the grounded characters, and the post-apocalyptic hellscape of Route 66.
Well, yeah, but I mean, the point I'm saying is like Pixar. Yeah, Cars may not ever be their best film, but it was still thumbs up to everything that they did until Cars 2.
Yeah.
That's the one where we have to just say, you know what, the streak stops here, guys, and it's heartbreaking to say that. It just doesn't work in any way at all, really.
Yeah, and I mean it's always had well, it's in a way it is sad to see it fumble because I mean we're pulling for you, Pixar, but at the same time Pixar was at the top of the game for so long. It's like you just gotta see him fall once. It's like even the great can stumble.
And I wonder why they've gone with Cars 3, because I mean, they have to know Cars 2 didn't work. I think the Pixar minds are smart enough to realize their folly there. So the question then is, why Cars 3? Is it an apology? Is it let's end this thing on a good note? What's happening? Do you know? I don't.
Oh, Cars. Well, if nothing else, we know that Cars is the merchandising cash cow of the Pixar universe. All the kids love the Cars merchandise. And so even Cars 2, it's like, not a great movie, but it made a ton of money. I mean, Ratatouille, you're not going to sell many rat dolls with tiny chef's hats.
No, I suppose not.
It's just not going to happen. As good a movie as that might be, but Lightning McQueen, vroom vroom. That's something that everyone will be like, oh, because I mean, as a kid, you love playing with cars, and I'm going to get through. Vroom vroom vroom.
We'll just do that for the rest of the show. Yeah, Finn McMissile was the character in Cars 2 that Michael Caine voiced. The spy car. And that was a fun point of Cars 2 for me.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind in Cars 3 a Finn McMissile appearance, just a short one. Yeah. That'd be fine.
Well, I think I mean, even though Cars 2 was a stumble, I like the idea of it. that they decided, oh, we have to do Cars 2, but instead of a rehash, let's do something else. And they sort of went like the Beatles help route. It's like, well, let's do a Spy Keeper. It'll be fun. It'll be like, or an Austin Powers. And, we'll just put, Mater in as the stand-in. And, it's the sort of thing that I'm sure when they pitched it, it was like, everyone fell about laughing. It's like a spy movie with cars starring Mater. How could this fail?
Right. And it's the sequel no one expects. It's got all kinds of legitimacy behind it.
Well, we keep complaining that sequels are nothing but the first one regurgitated. This was completely different. So again, it checked all the right boxes. It's just that along the way, it's just you have to remember that a lot of the James Bond spoofs and knockoffs from the 60s, they were pretty bad too.
They very much were, and Finn McMissile is one of those characters, really.
Yes. Well, I remember, if you've ever seen Superbug the Supercar, which was a staple on our local UHF station. Very cheap Mexican movie, badly dubbed, about a secret agent named Jimmy Bondi, which was the level of humor, who drove around in a Volkswagen Beetle that had all sorts of gadgets that would cause the bad guys to slip and fall comically.
The slip and fall comically, we lost some of that there.
Yes. To slip and fall comically.
Okay, all right. Well, that sounds like a fantastic show, and maybe that's what they based Cars 3 on, for all we know, because neither of us have gotten to see it yet. We'll have a review, and maybe up now, for all I know, the review of Cars 3 at ZekeFilm.org by Eric Yates, our film-watching machine of a man.
I will say, by the time you see this, yes, it will be up.
Oh, well, that's bold, buddy.
Yes.
Because I've got the ZekeTalk post-production prep time down to about 20 minutes.
Ooh.
We can cut, wrap, stop, save it, and up in 20 minutes. With the exception of the audio output, which is, I think I have to buy some $20 software to pull the audio from YouTube. So, as the proper kind of file. So I've yet to find a free thing to use for that. Maybe somebody knows. But anyhow, so yeah, this episode, or Cars 3, what will happen first? It's a race, people. It's a race to the finish line.
Yes, check and see. And if you go to the ZekeFilm.org and it's not there, send them an email and you win a no prize.
Oh, sure. Oh, no, I think what you should do is just keep clicking refresh. That'll do it. But no, we could wrap up with this, Mike. The speaking of shared universes, and also speaking of cars, have you heard the theory, the fan theory, mind you, of the Pixar is one big shared universe?
Yes, I have heard this theory.
And I'm a little sketchy on it, but how does it work? There's
okay, well, at some point, inanimate objects become sentient, and that's Toy Story. And so basically, what happens is, with Toy Story, the toys become sentient, and then the WALL-E. Yeah. All the humans become fat and bloated and go off to the stars, leaving behind all their sentient cars, who are left to wander the wilderness, having the personalities apparently of the last person that drove them. So,
so what happened is the cars are imprinted. That's in the far, far future, way beyond WALL-E even.
Yeah.
And then back in the past, pre-Toy Story, you have things like Bug's Life and Ratatouille, which, could be any time, I guess.
Yes.
Yeah. So there's the shared Pixar universe, everybody. I don't know about that. Of course, there's The Incredibles. That has to work in there somewhere, too.
Yes, and it does work in there somewhere.
Maybe they set off the bomb that makes inanimate objects sentient.
I think that, yeah, I think that's how they work in there. So
Some supervillain.
yes.
Yeah, he's got a gadget that must be destroyed, but it doesn't go well. So that's there. That is your shared Pixar universe. See, not everything needs to be a shared universe, people. Universal Studios, I think, is finding this out the hard way. Not everything needs to be a shared universe. We want a shared universe. We want one too. No, you don't have to have one. Just make good movies. Pixar makes good movies. They did not make a shared universe for this.
If you make good movies and you make them with a consistent style, then people, the fans, will make them into shared universes. And they'll come up with a way where it all works out.
Right. See, that's the difference. Pixar's movies are so good that fans have concocted a shared universe just out of their love for it, their want for it to just, can't they all be together? That'd be so great. Whereas with Universal Studios, it's like, oh, you're getting this, and they like pull a chain and ka-chong, and all this franchise clutter and garbage and movie stars and production value just falls on your head, just bam, and that's the summer.
That's it.
Yeah. So let's see. I don't know. Next week there are more movies, I'm sure. But actually, I'm not going to be here next week.
Yeah, I'm not going to be here. I think next week we're taking off.
Yes, or there's always the sentient objects could be could host the show. The car, our cars, your car and my car, could do a show together. We'll see how that will go. They're imprinted,
Yes, that's what I've heard.
Yes. So there's that. Go to ZekeFilm, where the Cars 3 review may or may not be there. Mike, I'm working on a review of something I watched last night. I don't know if you can see what this is through here.
Oh, I saw something. It was a disc with The Assignment.
Are you familiar with this?
No, I'm not. Tell me about it.
It's Walter Hill's newest movie.
Ooh.
Now, do you know who he is?
Yeah, it's Walter Hill, who did Streets of Fire.
Streets of Fire, sure. Yeah, 48 Hours and a lot of shoot-'em-ups. Westerns and modern-day shoot-'em-ups. He's basically John Milius without the intellectualism in some ways. I don't know. Weird comic book sensibility. Anyway, Walter Hill not made a very good movie in a very long time. This movie has Michelle Rodriguez and Sigourney Weaver. So it's like two women in a very macho director's shoot-'em-up action R-rated movie. And I was given, this is a screener of the DVD that's coming out soon, and another critic let me borrow this. So I watched. I'm going to write a review. It's coming together.
Okay.
Here's what happens. In this movie, it's apparently courted controversy for this in the transgender community, because Sigourney Weaver plays a demented plastic surgeon who gets revenge on a hitman played by Michelle Rodriguez. Now, it's a man. It's a male. It's Michelle Rodriguez. She's got her beard and everything. But it's a guy. It's Frank. His name's Frank, and he killed someone important to Sigourney Weaver's character. So Sigourney Weaver has him captured. She's very wealthy. Has him captured and performs involuntary transgender surgery on him and makes him into Michelle Rodriguez. It's insane, total trash. And apparently there are people who are offended by this movie. Yeah. It's too stupid to be offended by. Although I have to say it's not unentertaining.
Yeah, okay. I was going to say it sounds like Face Off, just below the belt.
Yes, exactly. And it is every bit a piece of kind of gun-toting sleazy trash that you might hope for, complete with like weird comic book sensibilities. The transitions are freeze frames, like the comic book panels, and then they shift over to something else. This is something Walter Hill's been kicking around, I think, since he went in and tinkered with the Warriors.
That's right. Yeah, the Warriors director's cut thing.
And they say The Assignment is a movie he's been wanting to make for 30 years, and he finally got to. So I'll have my review of that up, and I hope everybody can check it out. Okay.
Well, I won't have a review of this, but I have been watching In honor of Adam West, I have been watching the Batman Return of the Caped Crusaders, which is the movie that he did last year that he voiced with Burt Ward and Julie Newmar, reprising their roles from the Batman 66 series. It's a new animated movie. It was the first of what they intended to be a series, obviously, but they only completed first two before Adam West unfortunately passed away. But I'm just glad we have what we have.
And you have it.
Yes, I do have it. And I just rewatched it on Saturday, and it was a lot of fun.
That's fantastic. And that, just to clarify, that's the one that the Two-Face sequel is coming.
Yes, yeah. The number 2 will be Two-Face. This one, it has it has all the bad villains that you remember.
Oh, okay,
the Penguin, the Joker, Catwoman, and the Riddler, and cameos from a lot of the other more minor Batman 66 villains. There's a big scene set in the jail later on, and you get to see like Mr. Freeze and Louis the Lilac.
Well, in the Lego Batman, there's King Tut and Egghead.
Oh, cool!
And Egghead gets to do something.
Is it throwing an egg?
It is throwing an egg. Yes, he takes out the bat signal with an egg.
Okay.
With multiple eggs, I think. So it's important. It's an important part of the villain's scheme. He throws he hurdles a few eggs on there, and the bat signal goes all wonky, and he turns around and is like, So it's a lot of fun.
Oddly enough, that's pretty much what he does in this movie too. He throws some eggs, and then he turns around and goes. I guess that's like his party piece.
It's his thing. So
yes.
Okay, well, thanks, Mike, for sharing that. I want to see that movie. That's
oh, you should. It's well worth your time and money. And I look forward very much to Batman versus Two-Face later on this year, I'm hoping.
Here's hoping it'll happen. So William Shatner's Two-Face, yes?
Yes.
So there you go. All right, Mike, we'll have a good next 2 weeks.
And you as well. And we'll convene with more new topics and fun.
The world will be a vastly different place by then, and we're going to be here to sort it all out. So tune in, everybody. Subscribe to ZekeTalk. Subscribe to ZekeFilm's YouTube page is where you can find ZekeTalk more accurately. And don't forget to keep checking the website all the time, because there's always stuff.
Like us on Facebook, and we'll see you next Zeke time. Same Zeke channel.
Same Zeke channel, same Zeke time. All right. Thank you, Mike.
Happy trails. Bye.